So I started lifting in college pretty heavily and started tracking nutrition pretty heavily in college. So 18, I'm 30, almost 34, so quite a while. I think I finally kind of really got serious in 2011. My schedule changed a bit. I went from being a full-time career professional, traveling and spending a lot of time on the road, to actually having a schedule that I could manage a little bit better. So I was actually on my way to law school. So that was when all of this kind of really went into full gear. So since 2011, it's 2017. So my first prep, I started dieting. Things were going pretty well, and I got to the end, and I just felt like I was going to be too small. So I had a decision to make, and it was either drive harder and step up on stage knowing I wasn't going to bring the physique that I wanted, or slowly reverse diet, add more food, spend another couple of years training, and then hopefully at that point bring the physique I want. So I spent probably, I lifted heavily since I was 18. I started this whole thing in 2011, and then it was a full 2 years before I stepped on stage. And I happened to win my first show and won my pro card in my first show. And a lot of people say, "Well, you're lucky," and there's no doubt that I'm genetically blessed and can do some things physically I don't think that other people can do just by genetics. But there were 2 years of grinding before I even stepped on stage that people don't know about and people didn't see. So, this is a long process. This doesn't happen overnight. It can be extremely frustrating for those of us who aren't horribly patient. But I'm glad I did what I did. It was worth it for me. Yeah, I competed for almost 3 years straight, and was winning. I was winning shows and doing well at the world level. But in hindsight, looking back, there are things I wish I would have done differently. I let my success on stage cloud my judgment a little bit. I think there were times, throughout the 3 years I competed regularly, that I think I realized I probably should have taken some time away and let my body recover and feed more and do all the things that, I know lead to successful physiques. But I was winning, and hopefully now this last year and a half that I've had off is going to pay dividends and we'll really see a different physique. So my last show was May of 2015. No, 2016. You're right. 2016. A show here in Wisconsin. I took third to a good class. And I think that was my sign. That was my sign that I'd finally run out my luck and it was time to step away from the stage. I was still on the fence about whether I was going to compete at Worlds in the fall. I felt like my physique had come a long way in terms of size, but there's no way I would have been able to get lean enough. So I finally made the decision, probably, July of that year, or a couple months later. It was probably July that I decided I was going to focus on some other things, personally, professionally. I had a pretty good reason I met my wife, so I had a pretty good reason to hang out and just train and enjoy life a little bit. And in the midst of getting bigger and stronger and feeling really good, I ruptured my right Achilles in November. So that really forced me to take time away, and a full Achilles rehab is about a year. I didn't have surgery on it. I was in a boot for, 8 weeks, maybe a little less. And I don't know, it was, looking back, it didn't really seem really difficult. I think in the moment, the moments immediately after I ruptured it, I thought it was maybe the end of my bodybuilding life. But like everything, it's an injury, it's not life-ending. And you find ways to deal with it, you find ways to work around it. Steph was kind enough, my wife was kind enough to let me go to the gym, or take me to the gym the next morning, so I could start to figure out how I was going to operate and function over the next, 6 months with this injury that, I think deep down I knew I could deal with. I just had to figure out the mechanics of it. So my last show, I actually stepped off stage, met my future wife that night, in a weird series of events. We bought a house, we got married, we went to South Africa for a while. We came back, we bought a 16,000 square foot gym. Meanwhile, I continued to run my law practice and my online business doing coaching. We got pregnant with twins who are due in January. They'll probably end up here in December. And I start my cut next week. And we own 3 businesses. I'm a practicing lawyer, so I do a lot of trust and estate work, I do some family law work, I do some random things that'll kind of run across my desk that interest me. We own Hybrid Athletic Club, which is it's a health club. Membership's at about $650 now. We do personal training, we do group trainings, we do nutrition counseling, we do kids camps, we do athletic performance camps. So pretty wide spectrum of things that we cover there. And then I own Bakke Athletics, which is an online bodybuilding, nutrition and strength programming kind of, coaching service. So my day-to-day can be any number of things. I spend a lot of time on the phone with my Bakke Athletics clients. Typically I'm up at 4:30 in the morning to go do my group trainings, which start at 5:30 at Hybrid Athletic Club. Group at 5:30, group at 6:30. I may train anywhere between 5 to 8 hours a day of individual training after those. And then there are times where I will take complete days off to handle a hearing, for example. So next Wednesday is a great example. I have a hearing in a different county, so my day is kind of cleared to go deal with that. So no 2 days are the same. So eyeing at least October of 2018, so giving myself a full year. I put on about 35, 40 pounds, and so it's going to take some time to get that off in a way that doesn't kind of chew away at all the lean tissue I've put down. If things go well, and my future family cooperates, I might compete in the late spring or early summer, and then reverse diet up a little bit, and then diet for the fall. But I don't know. So we're going to play it by ear. I'm going to try and get ready sooner rather than later. Give myself some wiggle room. Try to be able to kind of wisely work through the plateaus that hit all of us and plague all of us. I played basketball and ran track at the University of Wisconsin. And growing up was always a big human. My brother's a big guy. I was just always big. And so I think, in high school, I think I went into my freshman year at maybe 160 pounds. When I competed at Wisconsin, when I played basketball at Wisconsin, I was about 100 and mid 170s. So my identity is very much wrapped up in being this big, strong human being. So was most striking for me is that my hardest part mentally is getting smaller and watching myself shrink. And at the end, watching my strength kind of slip a little bit. Whereas most people, it's the other way. Most people, when they come out of a show and they start to put down body fat, kind of have this crisis moment of, oh no, all the hard work that I just put in is now going away, and I'm not, shredded anymore. And so I'm excited to head into this cut for a whole lot of reasons that I just talked about. But I still have these moments right now of, my strength is really coming up nicely in recovering from this Achilles injury. So I have these moments where, I can't wait to cut. And in the very next breath, I'm talking about how I just want to be big and strong. Yeah, so, I think it's been so long since I've had this big, long off season. I'm excited to see what is underneath when I peel back a couple layers of fat. I like the kind of tunnel vision focus that it gives me. Not just in the weight room, but in everything else I do. There becomes, in my life anyway, and I think this is part of the reason I wasn't able to turn off bodybuilding, there's an urgency and efficiency that happens with everything. And for most people who don't know me, I was in law school from 2012 to 2015, which were like my prime competing years. And when I tell people that, most of them are like, you're crazy. Like, most people can't get through a cut and just live normal life. How did you do law school too? But I actually think it made me better, because there was a time where I was dedicated to the gym, and I kind of compartmentalized my life. So I had my gym hours, I had my school hours, I went back to the gym, and then I went back to the books. And so there was an intensity and focus that kind of shows up, and I'm excited for that. I haven't started to dread anything yet. It'll come. I mean, there is no doubt that at the very end, you hit a point where you're thinking about food 22, 23 hours a day. It wakes you up. Hunger wakes you up in the middle of the night. You feel tired. You're drained. But I think one of the most important things for me is I have to remember, and I think as competitors, we all need to remember that it's something we choose. That nobody is doing this to us. That we can't feel sorry for ourselves, because it's a choice that we're making. And I think if you take that perspective, it just makes you better. You have to be a little bit off to go through what we do, but for some reason, I get hooked every time I do it. And so all the things that maybe we dread, I don't dread. It's just part of being good at this game. Just like getting through law school, just like getting through any career, there's stuff that you got to do that you don't like. But for me, it's worth it. So.
Thanks, Ross.